Yeah. I mean, cars are a necessary evil. My father always used to be like, as long as it gets you from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And I've kind of adopted that, the car, I got a 4Runner, right? And it has an actual key that you put in the ignition and you turn it.
I had one of those.
And there's no you're weaving out of the lane. There's none of that shit. It's the most analog car you can get. And I love it.
So this car, and I'm embarrassed even to declare the name of the brand of this car. So I'm just going to leave that.
Them.
I don't. It's embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed.
What? You should celebrate your success.
I don't want it. And I was happy with my Honda Civic 2012. And in any case, so now I have them. Sorry, I have a new car, and it spent like 7 hours yesterday at this dealership.
Well, now you have a nice ride.
It's embarrassing. It's what I like about it? It's blue.
Yeah, that's good.
And I got the interior that I wanted. I was having a slight argument with Christine about it. She wanted a black interior. I like the one.
It's so hot in the summertime.
I saw it's blue with a beige interior.
Yeah, beige is a classic
khakis
interior.
and a blue shirt.
Yes,
it's perfect.
It's a business casual car.
Thank you. Somebody gets it.
I'm totally down with that.
Somebody gets it.
Yeah. So I got. What do you call a broke Santa Claus?
What?
Saint Nicholas. Sorry. What do you get if you cross a snowman and a dog?
What?
Frostbite. What do you call a kid who doesn't believe in Santa?
What?
Ben was like, I asked Ben this morning, he's like, a Jew?
Jewish guys? Yeah.
I'm like, no.
No.
A rebel without a clause.
Oh, it's a lawyer joke somehow, too.
Yeah. Why was the snowman looking through the bin of carrots?
Why?
He was picking his nose. Okay, that's all I got. Ho, ho, ho.
Ho. Merry Christmas.
Not yet. Don't be doing that to me. It's not time yet. There's still like 10 more shopping days till Christmas, and I need every single one of them.
I need yeah, me too.
In theory, my last day of work for the year is tomorrow.
That's amazing.
In practice, I've already got all this shit lined up for next week that I have to participate in.
One job to the next.
And if the kids don't wake up, like if the kids have school, I still have to get up at the same time.
Yeah.
So there's no fucking break.
It's not like
a break.
Yeah.
You're up. I'm just home to do everything.
Yeah. Now you have time to do all of your chores.
Right. You know what I did yesterday for 2 hours? I cleaned Ben's room.
That's nice.
2 hours.
Yeah.
I dusted. I vacuumed. I organized.
How long will it last, do you think?
2 days.
You give it 2 days?
2 days. I'm sorry. I interrupted as you're doing the thing.
And we're back. Welcome to Recovery in the Middle Ages, the podcast about two middle-aged suburban dads and their pursuit of life, love, and recovery. I'm Nat X.
No, Mike R.
And boy, do we have a show for you today on RMA. We're headed into the holiday season. The snow is starting to trickle down. People are getting
what that is?
angry. That's a little bit of snow.
Feels more like urine.
It's not urine or volcano ash. And Santa Claus is coming to town.
That's
today,
terrifying.
And he knows when you're sleeping. All this and more today on a very, very, very special edition of RMA. And good morning to you, sir.
How you doing?
And good morning to all of the Monksters out there.
Near and far.
In Monksterland.
You don't have your visual aids today.
I'm completely off of script this morning, guys.
Did you even watch the documentary we're going to talk about?
I did not. And this was, I had fully planned on watching it. But like Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
And you got punched in the face by your car dealer yesterday?
It was one thing after six others. But here's how I'm spinning it to make myself feel better.
Okay.
I'm going to play the part of a monster out there who hasn't watched this documentary.
That's convenient.
Yes, so they can listen along and learn along with me as I learn all about the documentary called...
Oh, this is going to be a disaster. It's called No, a documentary.
No.
It's about the life and career of Dock Ellis.
Okay.
Who's a professional baseball player, if you didn't know, known for his outstanding talent and equally outstanding personality. It's particularly famous, this film, for its focus on one of the more unusual moments in baseball history. In 1970, Dock Ellis pitched a no-hitter for the Pirates against the Padres while he was tripping his balls off on LSD.
I did hear about that. That's right. So can't wait to hear about this one.
Yes.
Along with everyone in the crowd.
Yeah, I think you and I were both sort of teetering on the edge of skipping this week.
I'm sorry.
And I just came across that somewhere, and I was like, let's do that. And you were like, oh, let's do that. And now we're doing it,
and
even though we're not really doing it.
Hey, there was some news I just wanted to bring up and see if you had heard this too.
Okay.
Just in passing, I'm listening to the radio, and there was like a tease for a news story I didn't end up hearing, that they're talking about some kind of drunk detector in cars that's going to be like mandatory.
Excellent.
Right. So, but I didn't find a story, and I don't have a link or anything. I just wondered if you had heard that.
I had heard about a year ago, maybe a little less, that idea was floating around in the ether that they were considering putting these interlock devices on cars. Maybe they perfected the technology to the point where it's relatively simple to put them in. I can imagine the pushback from the auto industry is going to be huge.
Yeah, I don't know what that story was. I wish I had drunken driving. Yeah,
and for casual drunks everywhere who think there's nothing wrong with having 3 beers and then driving home, like they're gonna be up in arms.
Yeah, and it sounded like just what we were talking about, where like they're talking about, or maybe there's legislation or something where they'll have something in a car that it's like it'll be like required, and somehow, I mean, in this new car I got, they did, you
have one installed as an option, did you?
Well, they sort of have it already. And it was funny the way the guy brought it up, because he's explaining the car to me and what does what. And he goes, in here, right ahead, it can tell if your eyes begin to drift.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Like, so the car is kind of like, there's probably going to be a drunk guy in this car at some point. Let's see what we can do, or a tired person. And
well, if it has adaptive cruise control, you barely need to touch the steering wheel.
Yeah.
You can just,
and it jerks the car back. I thought I was driving straight, No. According to this car, it was jerking the wheel around.
Yeah, it'll force you back into lane, and if you have the adaptive cruise control on, you can actually take your hands off the wheel. But in Aaron's car, it says after like 20 seconds, it says put hands back on wheel. It yells at you.
Please wake up and put hands back on wheel.
But the cruise control allows you to set the distance to keep from the cars around it, and you put in the speed you want to go, and it'll keep you in the lane. It's a little too much for me.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm a little intimidated by all of the features.
But speaking of an interlock device in the car, when you know better, you do better. I actually printed this out today.
Amazing.
Yeah, I don't have to
all of your shit together.
But sometimes doing better depends on what tools are available to you. As 2 men in recovery from alcohol use disorder, we know how difficult it can be to seek help for a disease that's so stigmatized. If you're struggling to get sober, try SoberLink. They can help. They want to help.
They do.
It just costs you a few bucks to help. Their help.
Their help.
SoberLink's remote alcohol monitoring, but you get something for your money. It's a remote alcohol monitoring system, and it was specifically designed to help you in your recovery. It's not just some breathalyzer you buy at the store.
No way.
I've never seen a breathalyzer at the store for sale.
You haven't been to Utopia?
Do they have them there?
Yeah. They've got them. They got, fake piss.
Do they have that fake wiener you can...
You got it. Yeah, they got the Whizzinator. You got to go down the stairs.
Right. All the good stuff is downstairs.
Adults only. Yes. There's sex toys for positions and sex you've never even imagined.
Yes.
Some of those devices... It's like a horror. I don't know what it is.
It's a horror show.
But on top
it just depends on what you're into, I guess.
But that's what you have to wade through in order to, to get to these breathalyzers.
I remember going in there in the 80s and you could purchase a blow-up sheep.
I think those are still available.
I bet they are.
For home delivery.
Small enough to fit in your pocket and discreet enough to use in public or in front of your kids, SoberLink devices combine the facial recognition, tamper detection, and real-time results, so friends and family know instantly that you're sober and working towards your recovery goals. The system would have been a game changer. It really would have been if for Nat and I during our early recovery, when every bit of accountability helps.
Yes, imagine the prop comedy possibilities with a handheld device from SoberLink. If I had this, I would have had so much funny shtick for it. Every time I would pull it out, I'd have a different line. It would be hilarious. Get SoberLink.
Yeah, make 2023 and soon 2024 a memorable one. If you don't remember 2023 because you drank too much,
you need
2024 you could remember if you got a SoberLink device for accountability purposes.
Yes.
Visit www.soberlink.com/middle-ages to sign up and receive $50 off your device.
And Mike will middle-your ages.
I guess I will.
From the back.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
I really think that they're missing a huge marketing opportunity. I've said it before, to market this product to parents of teenage boys who have just gotten their driver's license and are going out with their friends.
Yeah.
You know? But if only there was some way to hook it up to the ignition.
Huh.
Well, you'd be like, send me the report, or
it should be like a phone. It could because they have to have their phone no matter where they go.
Yeah,
right?
but it sends an alert to you.
So somehow it could be attached to the phone to the car, and it knows.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I would do that. Anyway, go buy one of those things.
Buy it.
By the way, they want us to send them listener data for the last 6 months.
Done.
Just
consider it done.
Because she sent one of those. Maybe you didn't get my last email, guys.
She's right.
Smith is correct. She's incorrect. We did get her last email.
I know
we're
it arrived.
Very busy, and we're. It's almost as if we're like abusive to SoberLink.
I'm so sorry.
I mean, they want to send us money, and we're like, fuck you. We'll just ignore your emails.
6 months of data.
Yes.
It's on the list.
And do we want to renew for the same price, I guess is the question.
I think we need to
Should we have a business meeting?
We should charge a premium for this kind of
this is
exposure.
This is fucking entertainment as well as ad read.
Edutainment.
Yeah.
We're teaching something while we sell it.
Yes. So we got some hate mail this week.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
I didn't want to give it energy.
A little energy.
I was messing with all of our social media things, and I realized I don't check Instagram messages often. And so I was looking through it, and it had an alert. It said you have a filter on that protects you from mad emails or bad emails. So apparently,
is that true?
Yeah, apparently I had some safe protector on from bad vibes or something. So I said, yeah, I can handle it. What is there, a nasty message? And I clicked it off, and this popped up. It's from Amelia F. And she writes, honestly, period. I would love to love your podcast, but it's so bro. So much gay jokes. Like, what are you, stuck in the early 2000s? You're missing a huge group of followers being kind of dumb. And I'm older than you, so don't blame it on the Middle Ages. You sound kind of white and stupid is all. Also,
white and stupid.
Also, she's not done. Let your guests talk more. We have guests?
Occasionally.
When we do, okay, let them talk. Okay, it's a fair criticism. They are smarter than you.
No doubt.
Well,
no doubt there.
Well, that's why they're on the show. Okay,
right.
Dude, hyphen, open parentheses, it's only one of you. And then, I just saw that. And then end parentheses, stop interrupting, period. XO.
XO. Which one of us is the interrupter?
I don't know. Well, it's probably me because I get nervous. You always have your questions together. And I'm like, interrupting.
So,
I'm so sorry, Amelia.
Yeah, I'm sorry we can't be the thing that you want us to be.
And you're older than us somehow.
I know. There's a couple of things stick out about this.
Yeah.
I've gotten plenty of emails from LGBT folks that like the show and don't seem to be offended by the gay jokes that we don't do.
What?
So I don't know. Okay, I'm not sure where that one's coming from. And then
probably drunk. This is like a listener who was drinking and got mad.
I hate to be that guy, but I went on her Instagram profile and was because I'm like, I don't. take criticism well.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, why does this person not like me, right? Typical alcoholic response. And this person purports to be in long-term sobriety and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, clearly there's some, I mean, look, I don't know this person, but I would think it seems like some issues are being worked out in an email to a podcast that you don't like. Like,
well, what do you
my
think?
response if I don't like a podcast is I don't listen to it.
You don't listen.
I don't write the creators to say, you guys suck.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And the only reason you do that is like for something that's going on inside of you.
Clearly, there's something being worked out, as you say. And what do you think I responded with? I mean, what would you think I would respond with? Like, you asshole,
no,
don't fucking listen.
Not you. You sent a very nice response.
This was my response. You said,
okay, thanks for listening.
Always.
We will take your thoughts into consideration when making future episodes. Never my intention to alienate any group of people. It's intention or effect, which is
I didn't
important.
intend to.
Really, though, if you don't like the show, it's okay. We understand. Have a great holiday. Love, Nat X and the prayer hands.
That's it. What else can I say to this person?
I don't know what to say about the white thing because
that's weird.
She is also white.
But why is that a pejorative?
I don't know. And we're kind of dumb. Okay, point taken. Agreed.
Yeah.
This is like, we never claimed to be smart. Sound kind of white and stupid. All right, fine.
What should I sound like, really, though?
I mean, that's the whole passive aggressive thing that
XO.
You know, we get emails like this from time to time by people who really have no concrete example of the things that they're accusing us of, but just kind of like throw this shit out there to make us feel bad, I guess.
They don't need to present a case, unfortunately.
Yeah, no,
it's just they're vomiting. They're mad.
That's social media.
We've said something.
I guess. I mean,
yeah.
But, okay, well, thanks. I mean, I guess. Happy holidays.
I'm sorry we're so white. That's my biggest regret is how white we sound.
Have you, are you having a Christmas party for your employees? Or a holiday party, I should say?
Well, you know, I always wanted to do that. I don't think I'm quite there yet, though.
No. Okay.
I would love to.
Spend all the money on the car.
Some deal with the car. Eating up a decent portion of our holiday budget.
Well, you know, because we had a holiday party.
You did?
Yeah, we had one. So my company used to have these really crazy, over-the-top holiday parties.
Like 80s, 90s parties.
Exactly. Like open bar.
Everything
goes. It would be on a restaurant, usually on the Hudson River, overlooking the Manhattan skyline or an Italian restaurant in a nice part of Jersey where the Italian food's really good. There's 200 people, so it was always it was like going to a wedding, basically, right? But there was a change in management a couple of years ago, and I think since we are an insurance company, I think people started...
Did they have to sign waivers before they...
Yeah, people started realizing that all that open booze and everything was not a good idea. There was a couple of...
They had an actuary come in and go, guys...
Yeah. Are you kidding me? The actuarial department is the biggest bunch of drunks.
Are they really?
I mean, when they cut loose, it's nothing like actuaries.
Oh, shit, it's the actuary department. Get down.
But I think they had some incidents a couple of years ago of people hitting it a little too hard at the open bar, and so within 5 years we've transitioned from a party like that to a luncheon at the Hilton after a town hall in a conference room. So
wow, kind of takes the bite out of it.
I mean, it removes alcohol out of the equation, which is I'm not happy about that,
right.
Except it doesn't really, because when we got there this time, we had to fill out a little ticket, and it said put our initials on it because we were going to they were going to monogram a wine glass for us.
Oh,
so this is the gift that you give 200 people. The assumption is everyone drinks, right? Even though I know there's some like Islamic folks who don't drink, right, and some other people that just don't drink at all. But the wine glass is, that's the party favor. I guess I shouldn't look a gift glass in the mouth. And the response, I said this to my friend, and he's like, well, you could drink anything out of that. I'm like, yes, but the intent is that you drink wine out of it because it's a wine glass. Yes, otherwise, they would have given me a tumbler of some sort that they could have monogrammed.
You could put your non-alcoholic wine in it.
I could. Well, I threw the rest of that bottle out, by the way. I was like, I don't want it.
Didn't scratch an itch.
So I was drinking kombucha out of my monogram wine glass yesterday.
I was going to suggest that.
But then the other thing was, it's like we can't give you booze, so we're going to give you booze once removed. Not sticking a fiction.
Yes, okay. Booze removed.
Booze once removed. So I look in the room where all the food is set up, and there's this table and this giant like steel piece of machinery that looks like you'd see it in a laboratory with smoke coming out of it.
Ooh.
And apparently it is a device that is used to infuse ice cream with booze. So I go up, I get online. I'm not sure what this ice cream is. I'm like, maybe it's just some kind of nitrogen roll. You ever see that rolled ice cream?
Yes.
With the nitrogen shit. So I go up there and I'm like, well, what do we have here? And they're like, it's ice cream. And I'm like, great. What flavors do you have? And she tells me the flavors and she's like, they all have alcohol. Yeah. They're all infused with booze.
What percentage alcohol? Is it like liquor?
There was a rum one.
Oy.
There was a whiskey one. And then there were some wine ones. And I was like, do you have any ice cream for people that don't want alcohol in their ice cream? And she just looked at me like I had two heads.
What are you, nuts?
So I went over to the donut wall and I got myself a donut. But as soon as people found out that the ice cream had booze in it, the line was like 150 people deep.
Oh my God.
Because people are like, we got to get the booze in somehow at this party.
Well, how is that okay when you can't have a cartoon selling cigarettes like a Joe Camel, but putting alcohol, or like you can't have flavored vapes because it markets to children.
Yeah. What
is more marketed to children than like a fucking ice cream cone?
Yes.
That is the definition of marketing to children.
And I've often complained that the child labor laws do not allow us to employ people under the age of 21 in our office. But so it was all adults. But I've noticed that I think I talked about this 6 months ago or something. In Huntington, there's a store it's right in between a frozen yogurt store and a Ralph's Italian Ices is a place where you can buy infused ice cream.
Oh.
And
I didn't know. I mean, there's so many new shops in Huntington.
I mean, this is like, is it even Huntington? It's sort of like Melville.
Oh.
It's up, you know where the White Castle used to be?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I just got a big smile if you guys couldn't hear it, the White Castle on 110.
But I mean, so that I could see the kids, having a,
I mean, can you imagine? They're going to put it on Saturday morning cartoons. There'll be, ads for super ice cream. Be silly like mommy.
Yeah, let's. Yeah, mommy, why are you eating ice cream at 8 o'clock in the morning? So that is the pro booze side.
Oh, milkshakes.
They put it in milkshakes too.
Amazing. It could be an alcoholic milkshake.
Oh yeah,
just without.
That's probably, those exist.
Yeah.
Right? What are those drinks with like a Kahlua?
Yeah.
And
a
like
mud slide. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. See, I'm getting ideas now.
On the flip side of my company trying to infuse us with alcohol is every year my boss, and he doesn't have to do this because he doesn't get like paid from the company for it, gives all of his immediate reports like a nice little gift. It's it's always liquor of some sort,
right?
Wine, beer. One year he played a game where it was sort of like a white elephant. If you didn't like what you got, you could swap for somebody else's booze.
So a Pinot for like a Merlot, basically.
Or a case of beer, or whatever it was. So this year he calls us all up into the room. I'm like, here we go. I'm about to get another bottle of wine that I can stick in my cabinet at work, and it'll still be there next year. And he hands out all the wine, but for me, he has a bag. And it's full of weed. No, he has a bag, and he hands it to me. He goes, yeah, this one's for he's watching his health or something, And they hand me the bag, and everybody in the room looks at me, and I look in there, and it's like I can't see what it is. I take it back to my office.
It's an inflatable sheep.
That would be. I just used my last name like 5 fucking times.
That's not your last name.
God damn it!
It's too late to cover up for it.
It goes so and so is. So it ends up that he finally internalized the fact that I don't drink alcohol anymore, and he got me 2 bottles of aged balsamic vinegar.
Now that is a mensch.
Right.
Very nice.
Now that's what a good boss. You know what I mean?
He's thoughtful.
He's very
remembering.
thoughtful. And so I went in his office and I said, listen, I really appreciate you doing that. I said, and thank you. And
did he play it cool, or was he?
He told me the story of how he had to run around and find it, where it was much easier for him to just buy booze for
and
the other people.
It's all about you, isn't it?
So that was good. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
That.
cool.
It warmed my cockles.
Look, your cockles, consider them warmed.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a good feeling about 2024, I have to say.
Do you?
I have a good feeling.
In what way?
Things, like, I have this, and tell me if I'm alone in this, but I'm getting the sense that there is a positive upwelling of energy, good things. I feel it. I know there's always negative, and it's so easy for anyone to say, oh, you can't even turn on the news. This is blowing up, and that one. Listen, it's always like that. I got news for you, literally. Go back any time in the past when they have news and it's bad. There's always bad news. However, I am definitely noticing a positive something bubbling up. Things are like people are evolving away from some of this, like the attacking each other. I feel like there's something coming that's going to break it all up. There's a positive energy,
I think
welling up.
Fucking nuts, dude.
It's happening. I'm telling you, 2024. This is my decree. Shall be the greatest year in the history of the world.
It could be the last year in the history of the world too,
but the best. Nonetheless, so I have a positive feeling, Monksters. I think this is going to be
a new car high.
This must be.
You're just fucking goosed on fumes.
Listen, think about it. 4 years ago, I think, maybe 5, I didn't even have a driver's license, much less a car. Couldn't even afford a car. Couldn't even think about it besides not legally driving it. 5 years later, 6, things are improving, and it goes to show me, at least, that things do get better. And
your world is getting better. What about the rest of us slobs out there?
It looks like people are happier out there.
What?
I'm getting
Where have you been?
I don't know. I feel like I'm not getting as much negativity from like people I interact with. It's weird. Maybe it's because I'm giving out a lot of positive energy.
Maybe you got some positive flow going out.
Maybe it's finally coming back to me. All of this positive I've been putting out.
I don't know. The Middle East is a mess. We're probably going to get into a nuclear war.
How many years have we been saying that?
Yeah.
Since I'm a kid, we say, the Middle East is a mess. You could say that.
Presidential election coming up.
Every 4 years, this is what we say. This is nothing new, folks. If you think that the sky is falling, they've been saying that since the dawn of time. The sky is not falling.
I don't know.
It is not. I guarantee you, 2024,
here's the
best
thing.
year ever.
It's easy to have equanimity when things are going your way.
That's what an optimist is. Right? Someone who's giving you good advice or positive advice when things are going well for them.
Right.
Right.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of people out there for whom things are not going particularly well. Anybody trying to buy a home, for example. Anybody who has on a limited fixed income who is trying to buy groceries. Anybody who
there's always
is
reasons,
concerned about democracy.
There's always things to be upset about. And if anybody has had things to be upset, panicking, and dismal about, it's me. And let me tell you, it is hard. And I always, no matter what, try to keep positive, even though it's impossible sometimes.
Well, now let's not veer off into some toxic positivity there.
Toxic positive. Be positive. You have to fight this negative, dark blade of evil. I was thinking of the dark saber from Mandalorian.
Yeah, I got to go back and watch
Oh, my
the rest
God,
of
that was so cool. The dark saber. It's like a lightsaber sword, but it's somehow black with like a white outline. It's very cool. Train wreck.
People say that there's a baseline of happiness, right? And I'm never very on the pessimistic side of that. I mean, I'm generally a pretty positive guy, but I'm also a realist. And looking around at the way the world is,
Isn't it always like this, though? Siri doesn't understand.
Siri doesn't understand.
The sky is falling.
Yeah, I don't know.
AI is taking over. What else?
Yeah, well,
the Middle East.
I hadn't
There's a war in Russia.
That one.
Yeah, don't forget about the singularity where AI becomes sentient and wastes all of us. But let's try and have fun up until that point.
Yeah. Okay. I guess so. Right. The power of the positive mind is something, but there's people who are on this journey who are not as advanced as Yoda Nat over here.
This is going to last at least an hour till I have to go to work.
Till the coffee.
Let me enjoy it while I got it.
Listen, I'm glad you're in a good headspace. I mean, I'm not in a terrible place, but The seasonal effective shit is...
It's hard.
I've been gobbling fucking magnesium and B12 and D3 like it's going out of style.
Magnesium. Someone else was telling me that they started to take it, and it helps a lot. What is the magnesium thing?
It's good for your nerves. It helps your sleep.
It's like relaxes you, right? You sleep better.
Yeah. It's but it's not like you don't like pop a magnesium pill and then find yourself relaxing. It's not like a benzo light.
Yeah.
It's just
it's like a daily isn't it a powder? I've seen people take it.
You can take it in a powder. I like tend not to take powders anymore. I just take a gummy. Those are my favorite things to
gummy
take.
Is the best delivery system for everything.
Is it?
I love gummy vitamins, gummy melatonin, gummy CBD. What else?
Yeah, that's about it. Gummy fucking THC.
Gummy suppositories.
Ooh.
Does that?
You can't taste them though that way.
Or can you?
So I went to the city with Erin. We had a date on Saturday.
Oh, that's nice. And the city's lit up.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We haven't done, speaking of positivity, we offered to bring Ben with us, but he was like, no, I'm going to just lay here in bed all day. And I was like, that's fine.
No, it doesn't.
So we drove in to Williamsburg, parked the car, took the subway, the L train, 14th Street, 8th Avenue, went to the Whitney Museum. I have not been to the Whitney in many years, if ever.
I don't know if I've been there.
I think it's a new location. It's in the meatpacking district.
The meatpacking.
You're familiar with the meatpacking district?
No, I'm thinking of the meat slapping district.
Or the fudge packing district.
Yeah, the fudge packing.
Oh, is that one of the gay jokes that we tell?
Oh, shit. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.
I mean, back in the 80s, it used to just be drugs and hookers and meat down there, you know?
Meat, hookers, drugs.
Oh, I wouldn't equate prostitution with maybe, I don't know. I'm not getting in any more trouble with people. Do you need to take that call?
No, I'm not taking it.
And you know what else is down there? The High Line. Have you ever been on the High Line?
No, but I've read it. There's a picture book about it that I read to kids. It's all about the High Line. Where
wait a minute.
That's how I know about it. You're talking about
what kids are you reading a picture book about the High Line?
Wait, isn't the High Line where it's like a railroad that's like raised up and
it's like a park on top?
Yeah. The whole book is about the guy who curates the garden there.
Okay.
It's called
What kids are you reading this book to?
My kids.
Oh, your kids. You just said that I read to kids.
Random
I'm like,
kids.
Do you spend your time in a way I don't know about? Are you part of the reading rainbow? I don't know. Anyway, so we realized after we went to the museum, we were going to go get some dinner in Greenwich Village, and both of us like Ethiopian food, and we had not had it in quite some time. And there's a little kind of hole-in-the-wall place on McDougal Street just south of Washington Square Park that has traditional Ethiopian food.
Ooh, interesting.
And if you haven't had that, they put it's like stews and curries and vegetables, and they put it all on this thing called an injera, which is an edible bread. It's the closest thing you can compare it to would be like a crepe, I guess. And then they serve other crepes on the side, and you use your right hand, you pull off the injera, you scoop up the stuff off the communal plate, and you put it in your mouth. You use your right hand because your left hand is supposed to be the one that you wipe your ass with. I don't understand that because I can't wipe my ass with my left hand. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Right? You would think you would use your left hand to eat because the right hand is the one you wipe your ass with, right?
Well, that's maybe they train since children to use the left.
Use the left.
Right. And that's how they,
Plus, most other countries, they use bidets and water to clean the ass. In America, we clean the ass with dry paper.
Either way,
which may explain our sunny disposition.
That's it.
As Americans. But anyway, as we were walking across from the Whitney to Washington Square Park, we noticed that it was SantaCon. Do you know what SantaCon is?
I've heard stories of drunk Santas.
Yes. SantaCon is when everybody in the city who is between the age of 20 and 40 dresses up like Santa Claus and gets shit-faced drunk and then staggers around the city.
Yeah. All right.
So
that's the whole thing. People dress up like Santa and they all
go out and drink all day long.
Is there a convention or
do they the convention is
just they show
up and get drunk.
Okay.
So we were walking back and there were these two girls in front of us who were dressed like Santa Claus and they could hardly walk and they were trying to jump in the air and click their heels and they were getting catcalls and it was a whole thing. And then when we were done eating, we were walking back up to the subway, and I stopped by this pizzeria. It was full of drunk Santas, like a sea of drunk Santas. I took a picture of it.
Oh, no. You have to post that one.
And then there was all these drunk Santas waiting online to get in this club. But it got me thinking, like, SantaCon wasn't a thing when I lived in the city. Like, it just didn't exist.
It sounds recent, yeah.
Yeah, but I remember pushing the kids around in strollers when when they were much younger, and we found ourselves in the city on SantaCon Day in Midtown, and all the Irish bars were full of drunk Santas, and I don't know, it just seems like another excuse to have a drinking holiday.
Yeah.
As if New York City needs more excuses to drink.
Yeah, what else can we dress up like and drink for?
Yeah.
But they took away the drinking for New Year's Eve.
Where?
In New York City. Isn't it like they don't have alcohol?
What?
Isn't it? I heard that there's no bathrooms. One of the...
Oh, in Times Square? People wear diapers. They stand in Times Square with a diaper on.
I'll never understand that.
Me either. I remember in the 80s, we went down there a couple times, me and my friends, and it was a chaos. It was crimes being committed, drinking, urinating in the streets. I remember standing on top of a newsstand in Times Square, and these guys would come on and try and throw other people off, and it was
it's crazy.
It was fun. And now it's this weird sanitized thing where people wear diapers and stand around not
drinking.
Not drinking. And great, not drinking, okay.
What is the point of it all?
Yeah, why would you stand in the middle of Times Square and shit in your pants?
Just to be in a dangerous crowd?
Yeah, it's not dangerous, though. That's the least dangerous.
If something goes wrong, it's the worst place to it's a big target.
Yes, right. But, there are no New Yorkers there.
That's true.
New Yorkers
run into your cousin.
Yeah. There used to be New Yorkers there, but, they've stripped all the fun out of it, I guess.
Yeah, New York. I worked in New York briefly in 2010, and I thought I had, or 13, I can't remember, but I thought I had arrived, And when I got there, I began to realize nobody I worked with, nobody in any of these buildings, nobody was from New York. I was it. I was the last schmuck growing up in New York who was still working there. So the rest of them escaped, I think. So yeah, it is a lot of outsiders seeking their fortunes, I guess.
Yeah,
making it more expensive.
Right. Well, it's New York. People come and they want to, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
Good luck.
Yeah. Do you bring the family in to go to the tree or any of that stuff? Or
not as a tradition. It's something we've done, and it's something Christine always wants to do. She likes to go see the trees, so maybe we're going to try and schlep into the city and wander around looking at the bright lights, the giant tree. It's nice. It's very nice.
Try not to go during on a weekend.
Yeah, it's just packed, right?
Yeah. I want to take the kids.
I wanted to see the Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Are they trans?
They are all no, don't make a joke about they're all.
No, I'm actually.
They are not trans.
I'm actually curious. I don't know.
You've never heard of these guys?
No.
It's just this giant rock and roll orchestra that puts on a huge, Christmas show with lasers and
really
rock guitars and light shows.
Yeah,
you would
spectacle.
Love it. Yeah, but Trans-Siberia, I think, actually means across Siberia. No, it's not. They're not trans.
Who knows nowadays?
Now, what's her name is going to write us again?
That's okay.
How dare you make light of such a thing?
You're right. Part of me was like, well, maybe she's going to, screw us up, our algorithm, and leave us a bad review. But
oh, now you've given her the idea. I'm running to the computer right now.
She wouldn't want to do that because we told her to do that.
Speaking of documentaries,
are we going there already?
I think we have to because we also
we run out of shit to talk about.
We have run out of shit.
Okay, so the documentary that you did not see is on.
I need to hear all about it.
Okay, it's on Amazon Prime. It's called No, as I said, and so it basically covers Dock Ellis' career. He's an African American baseball player. He's a pitcher. He was a pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Famous pitcher.
He was known for his powerful pitching, and he was an important figure in baseball during the 70s, both for his pitching as well as his civil rights advocacy and his legendary mouth and drug use and all this other stuff. So the film basically traces his rise It doesn't go into too much about his childhood, which I thought was kind of interesting because clearly the stuff that came out with him later and all of the drug use he was doing and the drinking and everything was grounded in something that went on.
Something had
in his childhood.
His trauma.
Something I learned, though, is that in the 1970s, everybody in baseball was on speed. Mm-hmm. Did you know this?
Yeah, I had heard a rumor about that.
They were
it was like normal. Everybody was taking
It was
speed.
these things called greenies. And I'm not exactly sure what was in a greenie. Probably like some sort of like meth, like dexedrine.
Yeah, some amphetamine.
You know. But if you didn't take a greenie, like you were not good. Like they would cut you. Like
is it one of those things that have the bowl of pills and everybody would have to take one, or so they hand them out? And
they interviewed some of the old coaches who were like, I told them I didn't want it, and I said, you are not going to be using those greenies, and if you do, I don't want to see it. So it was not really like a very strong, everybody in Major League Baseball was doing it. I don't know. So Ellis was not only a talented pitcher, but he was also an advocate for his peers, for players' rights, because back then this is a lot more sports ball than I'm usually interested in. But
like unionizing, and they were being taken advantage of.
Well, the free agent system didn't really exist then. You were basically paid by the team, not a lot of money. I mean, Reggie Jackson was the first guy that got $1 million a year contract, and that wasn't until 1978. I think it was.
Yeah, they were.
I'm sure the sports people will correct me if I'm wrong. He was Doc was a vocal critic of racial injustice in the sport. His career had a lot of challenges. I mean, he moved on from the greenies to he loved like smoking weed and taking acid and mescaline, and he said he was a garbage can. He would take whatever came in front of him, and but he had a big impact on the game as a player, and subsequently after he got sober, he helped other players. He helped other players get sober, and he turned it around and stuff like that. But his career was definitely shortened by the fact that he
pitched a no-hitter on acid.
Yeah, I'm getting to that.
That's amazing.
But he hated to be known for that. He hated to be known for it, because, especially after he got sober, because
he wished he didn't tell anyone.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, so his big thing was he pitched a no-hitter while he was under the influence of LSD, and it was part of this 3-day bender that he was on. Like he and the team flew into San Diego, and he was supposed to pitch on the Sunday, or so he thought. And so on Thursday night, he drove up to L.A. With a bunch of friends and met a bunch of girls up there, and they took acid and they wandered around and they partied for days. And then somebody said, hey, the phone rang, and he picked it up, and it was the team looking for him. And he was like, why? I don't pitch till tomorrow. And they're like, no, you pitch today. So he had to get himself back from L.A. to San Diego, suit up, and go out there and pitch the game while he was high on acid. And he pitched a 9-inning no-hitter. He hit a couple of players with pitches, but that's perhaps to be expected. But he pitched the whole game, and
and that's one of the hardest things to do, if not the hardest. It happens so rarely when even the greatest baseball players, completely sober, practicing for years, coming close and failing. It is one of the most difficult feats to accomplish, and this guy did it tripping on acid.
Which only goes to show you like how good a pitcher he was, right? Because, regular pitchers can't pitch no-hitters typically, like even if they're not on acid. But so initially when he first talked about this, he was pretty nonchalant and described it in like a humorous way. Like he said that he struggled to maintain his focus. With the catcher's mitt sometimes appeared huge, like the size of like a flying saucer or something.
Full hallucination,
or it appeared really small. Like a tiny little catcher's mitt. And the players, he said he looked like they were swinging multiple bats, and trails like from the bat swinging.
Jeez.
And he also talked about how he couldn't feel the ball or see the batter or catcher clearly, just patterns swirling around.
What the fuck?
And So his recounting of the event often highlighted the surreal and challenging aspects of playing while under the influence of such a powerful hallucinogenic drug. But when he became more open about his struggles with substance abuse and more involved in counseling and advocacy work, his perspective changed, right? He started expressing regret about it and concerned about concerned about the message it might send that you can take acid and hit the pinnacle of your career,
Yeah, he's probably thinking he's like romanticizing it, making it look, like this is a good thing. And now he's anti-drugs, obviously. So
he was worried that the no-hitter on LSD could be misconstrued as a glorification of drug use. And, now you have all these guys in Silicon Valley who are doing this microdosing all the time and, claiming that improves their performance. And who knows if it does or it doesn't. I don't know if there's any way to really...
Yeah, and a microdose is a weird thing because it's supposedly subtherapeutic, or you take just enough so that the body knows it's in, but you don't sense it. Like, I don't fully understand microdosing. We should probably learn more about it. I mean, it sounds like bullshit to me, doesn't it? Like,
just taking small amounts of LSD or mushrooms. I don't know. Some people swear it helps them. I don't know. I have enough trouble functioning without. I mean, is LSD a performance enhancing drug?
I don't think so.
I mean, it was for Dock Ellis in 1970.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, but I mean, some people do report from microdosing that it reduces their anxiety somehow, and that it's like you take the microdose and you don't change the way you feel or you don't see things, but there's some like effect.
Yeah, on the cellular level. Yeah. I don't know.
That would drive me nuts. I'd be like, I just want to take all of it. You get a month's worth.
I don't know about that. I've never felt that with acid. Like, give me more acid.
Give me more. Yeah, I wanted enough just to get over the line,
I mean, I couldn't even walk sometimes on acid, never mind pitch a no-hitter.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. Maybe Doc had a high tolerance at that point. But
tolerance.
He was an interesting guy. Like, one of the other big events that happened, he was an angry man, right? And a lot of that stemmed from the drug use and from whatever was precipitating the drug and alcohol abuse. But baseball was also a very bunch of rowdy guys. If you look at pictures from the time or pictures from that documentary, it's all these guys
they're like hockey players.
Yeah, and they got cigarettes and cigars
chewing
and
tobacco,
beers in their hands and stuff. I mean, look at the '86 Mets. They were the most wasted team, they were all coked up all the time. Keith Hernandez, wasn't he accused of being a part of some cocaine ring or something?
Yeah,
and he testified in front of Congress about how everybody was doing coke in the major leagues,
coke and steroids, and oh my god. Yeah,
I don't know. But, in 1974, Ellis, in one game against the Cincinnati Reds, I thought this was kind of interesting. Before the game, he was a little, either hungover or a little boozy or hopped up on something. And he looked at Pete Rose and Johnny Bench and those guys, and he was like, fuck those guys. He's like, fuck them. Fuck their arrogance. And so he was the starting pitcher. So first guy gets up to bat, boom, he beans him. Second guy gets up to bat, boom. Third guy, boom. Fourth guy, 2 shots at his head. So he hit Pete Rose, Joe Morgan, Dan Dreisen, and threw 2 pitches at Tony Perez's head before they yanked him out of the game. The incident was controversial, not only for its blatant disregard for player safety, but also as an expression of Ellis's fiery and confrontational behavior.
That's one way of looking at it, yes. Or you could also call it assault. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's another way of looking at it.
I mean, it's funny because in the things haven't changed that much, because in the aftermath of that happening, in the documentary they showed news clippings, and it was senator wants jail time for beaning ball players and stuff. It's everybody's got to get their shit in there. He was also known for his style, which included wearing hair curlers during pre-game workouts, which was controversial at the time and seen as a challenge to the conservative norms of baseball.
Yes, like Joe Namath with his bushy sideburns and long hair.
He was also a vocal advocate for the rights of African American players. In Major League Baseball, he spoke out against racial discrimination in the league and worked to support fellow African American players both during and after his playing career. He actually, one of the moments in the documentary that I really liked is he got very choked up because he had was very outspoken in favor of his African American teammates receiving the same treatment, and he got a letter from Jackie Robinson, and Jackie Robinson was the first player to break the color barrier in baseball and play on a segregated team. And Jackie Robinson said that he was doing an amazing job and he could be proud of the stuff he was doing. And Dock Ellis was reading this in like 2007, I guess, right before he died, and he broke down and started crying.
Wow.
The great Jackie Robinson. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Jackie Robinson, Doc also played on the first team that was all African American players that had been fielded in a unsegregated team, an unsegregated game. So like all 9 players on the field for one team were either African American or Hispanic.
Wow.
So, so he went through his career. He went from the Pirates, and then he went to the Yankees, then he went to the Texas Rangers, and eventually he kind of lost his mojo. And at that point, he was also really heavily addicted to alcohol and cocaine. And all the women in his life, like, they seemed to love him, but each one of them had a story of how he would held them hostage.
That was his
attacked them and beat them up and stuff, and held guns to their heads. But they were all
they spoke about it like, oh, that's just Doc.
That's Doc being Doc.
That's Doc being Doc, holding me hostage.
But I mean, they so there is that side, of him, and his last wife, I guess, broke up with him over that, but he called his mother shortly after that happened and said, or was it it was his sister, and said, pick me up at the airport, bring a big bottle of vodka. I'm going to drink that bottle, and then I'm going to go to rehab. And
he did?
And he did.
Wow.
And he never had another drink after that.
Wow.
So shortly after that, he started helping other players, and he would go to he went to a lot of prisons and spoke to people about drug and alcohol abuse and why they shouldn't,
That's a living amends. I mean, we talk about making amends and saying sorry to people, but, that to me was always the highest form of amends, is to just change your behavior and help others. And that's what, he's doing. And I think just being remembered for all of that good stuff, the LSD story he might be embarrassed by, or he was in any case, but it's just a side note on.
He did a lot of public speaking on substance abuse awareness and treatment, and he visited a lot of community centers and schools. Basically, it was his life. He went back to school to get a degree in counseling. Yeah, so he could help. I mean, I guess guys, when they retired from baseball back then, did not have
they weren't sitting
hundreds
on
of millions of dollars. I'm not saying that Dock Ellis needed the money. I mean, I'm sure he could have just went around signing, posters and stuff, and made himself a decent living. But he used his platform to help others. In his career ended in the 1980s, and
it was not cool or popular to be, anti-drugs and stuff back then. It wasn't as today. It's a noble thing, and people are speaking out against drug use and alcohol. But it was a different time. Especially, you could smoke a cigarette and drink it while you drove your Buick LeSabre, to the track to bet on the ponies.
I mean, as interwoven as alcohol is in today's society, it was even more prevalent then. I mean, drinking was done everywhere. It's like cigarette smoking. Like when my kids ask me about the 80s, Dad, what were the 80s like? Or express some kind of feeling it must have been way better back then. It was so much cooler than today. And I think the one thing that that people wouldn't expect or don't realize is that everything smelled like cigarettes.
Yes, the bowling alley especially.
Yeah,
that's
bowling
right.
alley, restaurants, bars, supermarket, everything. And if you've had your friends' parents smoked, you go in their house, it just smelled like cigarettes.
Also, your clothes smelled, the cars smelled, everything.
Did your parents smoke?
No, they were 100% anti-smoking. Yeah. And my mom would, if we went anywhere near someone smoking, she would make the stage whisper, "Can you believe that, man?" Like, Mom, he can hear you.
But this is back when smoking was okay.
But she was 100%. I think her parents smoked for a long time, and so she hated it. She grew up in a house, I think, with smokers, and so they were very anti-smoking. It was a big scandal when I found out my dad used to smoke. I remember,
right?
In his early 30s or something. They turned it into this big horrible thing. But yeah, we didn't smoke, but everything smelled like smoke. It was not that much better of a time, guys. Harder.
I smoked for probably 8 years, and I've told the kids about it. And
yeah,
they just look at it sort of like as a historical anachronism. Like like I don't know if they picture like they just see the past as the past. They've asked me weird questions like did you have like did you ride horses back then? It's just in the past, right? So just circling back to the documentary for a minute, it was. If you choose to watch it, it's on Amazon.
Yeah, well, I'm going to watch
it. But yeah, sure.
Going to watch the shit out of this documentary. Watch its face off.
It's 100 minutes long, so you have to really be willing to take 100 minutes of baseball.
I'm going to talk. I'm going to tune in.
And the guy who made the documentary, Jeffrey Radis, and produced by Mike Blizzard and Chris Cortez and Jeff Seaman Gilbert.
Seaman.
It premiered at 2014 Sundance Film Festival and has since garnered attention for its unique subject matter and approach. Uh-huh. The soundtrack is great. It's a lot of funk from the 70s, which is awesome. But you have to it's a baseball-forward documentary. It's not like a lot of these things we watch are focused on recovery or they focused on the addiction aspect. And while that was a big part of the documentary towards the end, the first 3/4 of the documentary were just Doc's teammates and everything. And it was a lot of discussion of baseball and pitching and all that kind of stuff. So if you're into baseball, it's a really good documentary. And since this thing came out in like 2014, I assume most of our listeners have watched it already who are into baseball, maybe not. I enjoyed it because I did watch baseball in the 70s because I was born in 1968. So by the time the Yankees played the Reds in the World Series in 77, I was like into baseball then, right?
Yeah.
I was into the Mets, which was unfortunate. But,
sorry.
But so I enjoyed seeing all these interviews with some of the older players.
Takes you back.
Yeah.
It made me think about thinking about this whole thing. Like, what was the craziest thing you did on acid, or like, what was a scenario where you were tripping and you really it was not a good thing?
Not a good thing?
Like you weren't trying. You weren't like, I took acid and I hung out in the field listening to the Grateful Dead all day. Like,
that's most of my acid stories.
So one day I got some acid in high school. I don't know if I told the story, but I happened to be...
because you took too much acid.
I took and I used to do it on the weekends, but the guy I would get it from, he was a day student. It was in the morning of classes, and I saw him, and he goes, "Hey, look what I found in my wallet," and it was 2 hits of acid. And I said, "Oh," I said, "Do you think it's any good?" He goes, "Probably not." And I said, "Oh, I'll just take it." So I took it, and I had driver's ed that afternoon, and it was my turn to drive.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just remembering sitting there with all the kids in the car and the driver's ed teacher, and I got my hands on the wheel, and we're looking down Chapman Parkway. And he's like, "Okay, you can go." I'm like, "I'm going." And he's like, "You have to put it in drive." I got like 20 feet down the road, and he could see I was going like 2 miles an hour. He's like, "Put it in park." He's like, "Get in the back."
Who else wants to drive?
So that was...
Do you think he knew you were fucked up?
I don't know what the guy thought. I think he was just one of these impatient driver ed teachers that didn't give a shit. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if this one didn't work out, next one up, But so that was my acid in driving story.
Well, I took a fair amount of acid, but I never took too much acid except once. And it's interesting because Jesse Jarno's book, he talks about this particular acid that was going around in the mid 80s. And it was these
sunshine or something.
It was, they were tabs, right? So it was on blotter paper, but each tab was an album. It was an album cover, and the album cover was 4 giant tabs of acid, like the size of a postage stamp.
Oh, wow.
Together, right? So that would be one giant.
It's a sheet.
No, it wasn't a sheet. It was just it was 4 hits that made an album cover, except they were much bigger than the usual blotter acid size, which is a tiny little thing.
It's like a centimeter or something.
What I didn't realize, I assumed that just because the paper was bigger and the design was bigger, that it was still like the same amount of acid as it would be on a smaller hit.
Right.
I didn't realize it was actually 4 hits. So and I know a lot of you who have taken acid over the years, you're thinking like 4 hits is nothing, but this was acid that was made by the family? They used to call it, right? So, and the album cover was Mickey Hart's Rolling Thunder album cover into 4. So I took, I didn't take all 4 of them, thank God, because that would have been 12 hits, 16 hits. I took just 1, but it was 4 hits of this very good San Francisco blotter acid. And up to that point, it had been very hard to get good acid. I didn't have good connections at the time in the mid 80s, but so I take this stuff, and then my friends and I decide we're going to go to New York City. So we get on the subway, we go downtown, and we go to Battery Park City, and the acid hits like a hammer as we walk into Battery Park City, and all of us are looking at each other, and we all made the same kind of miscalculation about the strength of the stuff. So we had to sit down, and we sat down on these benches, and we were looking out into the harbor, Statue of Liberty and stuff, and we looked at the water, and the water wasn't water anymore. It was just geometric fractal patterns.
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing the fractals.
But it was like, it was really the only time that I took acid where I was so lost in the hallucination kind of thing. It was really cool.
It's also horrifying.
But we were sitting there for like hours, and the Statue of Liberty's arm was waving around and stuff. And I'm like, I hope this doesn't stay like this forever. Yes. But, as we're starting to come down, like there was this woman who was obviously a homeless woman, but she was hugging a tree and like kind of like looked like she was having sex with this tree in the park, and it was freaking us all out. So we got up and we walked to the subway, to the 19, and we took it like uptown, and somehow we found our way to McSorley's Ale House on 4th Avenue, and we were still like off our face, but they seated us at a table, and I don't know what they thought of the way we looked, but they'd serve anybody in there. So we sat down and we just started drinking, and they served these beers like you have to buy them 2 at a time in a mug, and there's only 2 flavors of beer you can get there, dark or light. So we just got the darks, and they kept bringing them, and it seemed like there were 1,000. Like it looked like an AI photograph of like if weird. I said, show me an AI photograph of people sitting at an Irish bar with mugs on the table, and there was like thousands of mugs, and we drank so much that we drank ourselves straight from the acid, but we weren't drunk because it's like seemingly impossible to get drunk if you're tripping, and so that was just a very strange night. Eventually, we staggered out of that bar, and probably 4 hours later, and caught the train back home. But that was one of my more memorable acid tales. Yeah, it was great. I hope that woman's okay. I wonder if they had a baby, her in the tree.
And all of these memories, I'm not going to go on all my acid stories, but stuff's starting to come back. I'm like, wait, what about that other time? But we'll have to save that for another episode. Yeah,
this is one other time. A week, just a quick one. We're playing darts in my friend's apartment off campus outside Fordham University, and everyone was like, bop, 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 talking a mile a minute. And I just said, man, people talk too much when they're tripping. And I threw the fucking dart, bullseye, straight in the middle. And everyone was like, wow.
You picked the perfect game. Now you get it. You picked the no-hitter.
And everybody was like, you just said people talk too much, and then you hit the bullseye. Oh, it's so crazy, man.
The sky opened up.
I think I was like, 18?
That would do it. You're the chosen one. Yeah. Good enough to start a cult with.
Right. Acid was fun until it wasn't.
Yes.
Until it wasn't. Then I started.
Don't do acid.
I would take it, and then I would start thinking about what a shitty person I was, and that's when you go down that fucking death spiral of the self-incrimination and everything. And I was like, this is not fun.
Yeah, like my consciousness went to a 10,000-foot view, and I could see everything, and there I was, the smallest little thing in the entire universe.
Disappointing my parents.
Yeah, that was acid for me.
All right, let's take a short break, and then we can come back with the recovery in the news.
We'll be right back after these words. And we're back.
And it's time for recovery in the news.
Recovery in the news. Yeah! All right. Recovery in the news. Recovery in the news. Recovery
Motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You fuckers.
You fuckers.
As Joseph now said.
That's right. Oh, Now's in the house. He messaged us a couple of times just like on social.
Yeah.
I would love to get that guy back on.
Yeah, I wonder what he's up to. I mean, I follow him on Instagram and stuff, and it's like a lot of golf. Which
he's
is
always
great,
wearing the hoodie that he got at my shop.
He's wearing the hoodie.
I love that. I love it.
I wish him the best. He's a great guy.
Now's in the house. Covering the news. So this week, interesting article. Erin sent it to me, actually. Oh, cool.
She's always on the lookout for recovery in the news items.
Thank you, Erin.
And I guess she heard this interview on NPR yesterday. I think it came out of WBUR. I don't even know where that's from, but harm reduction is a big, thing these days. With these supervised injection sites opening, and lots of ODs have been reversed by people with Narcan at these sites.
Yeah, New York City. Alan was the great wizened one. Alan B. posted about.
How many lives have been saved at these things? This article or interview or whatever you want to call it approaches it from a somewhat different angle. Apparently, there's a woman out there who supervises illegal opioid use in her own home.
Oh.
So rather than being a state-funded or mandated consumption site, it's a woman who...
So it's a trap house or something? Like what?
Well, I suppose, except she doesn't make any money. She's not renting, but she does provide needles and all this stuff. Anyway.
They call that a shooting gallery, don't they?
Right. So the title of the article or interview is Why a Mom Turned to Supervising Illegal Opioid Use in Her Home.
Because it's hilarious. Is that what she said? You should see what happens here. It's hilarious.
You're not going to believe what happens next.
Goes on.
It's a woman named Renee, and she started doing this because her daughter... her daughter started to use drugs in high school, and she came out very strongly against her daughter using drugs and would yell at her and fight and ground and take phones and do all the things that you'd think a parent would do. But all that did was cause her daughter to move out of the house when she was 16.
And do more heroin.
And do heroin and fentanyl and stuff all over the place. And so, she has medical training, and what she does now, and eventually she found her daughter on the street, and after a long sort of fraught process, they communicate with one another now, but she realized that there was this whole subculture of addicts out there who are living in tent cities, living in the street, and just dying because they don't have either a safe place to use the drugs, or they're getting diseases from needles and stuff that they're sharing. So what she started doing was just going out, buying hypodermic needles and going and passing them out along with alcohol wipes and all this other stuff, going into the streets and doing this sort of thing. And, and this is classic harm reduction behavior. You put yourself as a point of contact out there, a non-judgmental person that's providing, an ear. You lend an ear, you listen to people, you give them
you meet them where they are.
Meet them where they are, exactly. But this sort of translated into, word got around that if you wanted a safe place to use drugs to shoot up, you could go to this woman's house, and she would sit there with you with Narcan next to her and watch you do your thing. And
so it wasn't like a go here to get help. It's like, hey, there's a warm, safe place where you can get clean needles.
Right. And she works with nonprofits now, but she didn't in the beginning. I don't know. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, we've talked about harm reduction, and I've been pretty honest about that. I'm not sure, and the more I think about it, the more I change my mind about it, because on the one hand, I am all for harm reduction and that whole thing where it's like anything you can do to keep someone alive long enough to recover is great by me. It's fine by me. And I don't buy into this philosophy that by having these, you're somehow approving of drug use. And that's usually the counter argument. It's one of them. It's if you do these things, they're these official places that allow people to use drugs safely. It gives them like less reason to quit or something. Or it's like you're encouraging it, where the way
enabling,
I see it,
I think enabling is the word.
That's the $1 million word. To me, I think this is a good thing. I think it gives addicts a place. Yes, it's a place for them to use safely, which may be a good thing, but it's also them interfacing with clinicians, medical personnel.
Well, not in this lady's living room, though.
Yeah,
you know what I
but
mean?
Isn't she trying to like move them along?
Well, I mean, she's got some rules.
So
right?
now she does it differently, though. Maybe at the beginning it was a little Wild West.
Well, I think it's still a little Wild West. I mean, I think her activities out in the street are, more along the lines of,
so she's like a vigilante.
Yeah, kind of. I mean,
harm reducer.
She's very cautious about the people she lets into her home, and there are rules. You have to call.
Cautious, apparently.
You have to call or text before you come. Only one person uses at a time. No drugs left behind. And by her own tally, she's reversed 30 overdoses in the past few years. She never had to call 911, and she's never lost anybody. But it's probably a violation of federal law, which got passed in '86 during a surge in crack use that says allowing illegal drug use in any designated space is against the law. Now, you have cities and states testing the law that open these supervised consumption sites, but the feds have not yet moved to shut them down. But they
very well may,
next year, depending on who,
you never know,
gains the White House.
There's a new sheriff.
Yeah, and she says, opponents will tell her, you're enabling them. You should be sending people with addiction to treatment, not enabling their use. And she said, yes, I absolutely do. I enable them to leave of their own volition and not on an ambulance, gurney, or in a body bag. So,
well, I mean, that's different from just like, do we believe in harm reduction? This is, do we believe in somebody basically taking people's lives into her own hands with no formal training, oversight, or regulation?
Yeah.
Well, that's another question. I mean,
she really started this because she wanted to save her daughter's life, because her daughter was out using. So she stocked up on Narcan, taught herself how to use it, and was passing out clean needles. And she knows that half the needles are getting sold and traded and all this stuff. But well,
I think anything she can do to maybe help someone like that. And it's probably mostly kids. Is that what she's saying? Is it mostly like she's getting...
No, not kids. I mean, she'd help anybody.
These people sometimes don't have any other place to go that's like safe. They don't have the resources, or maybe they're, maybe this is their one interface with society, with a person who is connected outside of the streets. Hopefully she's using this position that she has with them, to help, and not just to give them free needles and, So it's a lot to put on a person who's basically a vigilante.
Yeah. I mean, that half her work is having people in the house, and then the other half is like she goes on the weekend and she fills up a cooler with ice and beer and bottles of water and soda, and then another cooler full of hot dogs and burgers. And she goes and drives to these vacant lots, and she sits there in a lawn chair and gives away the beer and the and the hot dogs.
Oy vey.
And has a boombox, and
desperate times call for desperate measures.
So, eventually, people would come and empty the cooler and start talking, and she learned a lot about this whole other world of drug use. I mean, the people who were stopping for a burger and soda were not injecting opioids; they were using methamphetamine, and so she started providing glass pipes and stuff to this group of people.
This is clearly...
She would go on Amazon and search for the best deals on supplies for people who use stimulants.
This is sounding like a bit of a fetish on her part, and less of like a coordinated attempt to save people's lives.
She didn't even know what the term harm reduction meant until after she'd been doing this for a couple of years.
Wow, she's not even up on the buzzwords.
Yeah, but then she also gives out condoms, dental dams, tampons, diapers, toothbrushes.
Full service.
Yeah. So she said, the stuff is just the carrot I dangle before the horse so I can make a connection. I want my community to know what it feels like to be really loved, so they never settle for anything less. Local police have let her do this without interfering with her too much. But she did have one woman who confronted her, saying that she gave her son a needle that he used in what turned out to be a fatal overdose.
Jeez.
And her response was, Survivor's guilt is real, Renee said, and it broke my heart because he was dead, but I would still give him the needle because it might have saved his life too.
Well, I mean, I don't think we should be shutting her down.
No, I mean, but this is where we're at in America, right? Yeah. We have ladies who are spending their own money to stuff their car full of supplies, harm reduction supplies, and go out and pass out hot dogs and soda to people because, the government has no plan.
No,
there's no community plan to address this. It's just individuals. Yeah. And,
Well, this is taking away my positive feeling. I have to say, remember that bubbly positive energy I was talking about at the beginning of the show? It is now completely dissolved in, pain and horror.
Well, her daughter is still alive. And off opioids, apparently.
Well, that's amazing.
At this point, yes.
So if nothing else, maybe this somehow contributed to the daughter. And maybe now that the daughter will help others, if she hasn't already said that.
Yeah.
So this could be a very good thing. I'm bringing the positive back.
It was interesting to read some of the comments where I saw this story pop up somewhere else yesterday, and it was pretty evenly mixed. I mean, half the people were like, you should not normalize the injection of fentanyl on the streets. Yeah. And then half the people were like, well, the people are going to do the drugs anyway, so you may as well, the goal should be to keep people alive, and hopefully they get treatment, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm always going to err on the side of, giving people a chance at life, even if it goes against some of our deeply ingrained Victorian values left over from the, the old days. But
just say no, Nat.
Just say no. Thank you, Mrs. Reagan.
Yeah, for killing so many people.
Was recovery in the news? Yes. Do 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 do. Well, dare I say it, we've come to the end of the show.
No Week in Weird today, huh? Jesus.
I'm just happy to be able to get here and talk to you and say hello to the Monksters and check in the midst of...
There's so much UFO shit going on. I cannot believe you're not on top of this.
It's sort of like I've been talking about it for 20 years, and all of a sudden everybody's talking about it, so I'm like, whatever.
Well, did you see they invited Neil deGrasse Tyson to go look at those bodies in Mexico of
the
aliens?
Really? Did he
and
laugh
he was like,
"You
should call a biologist, not an astrophysicist. What am I going to tell you?"
And I quote, LOL, send Neil deGrasse. But so we'll get down to it. I'm really looking forward to reading Sookie's book, See, Swallow Me.
Oh, yeah.
Sookie, I want to read that book. Maybe if we just make the date, and it'll give us a target.
Well, that's what we have to do.
And we'll make a deadline. Yeah. So, Sookie, if you're listening.
She's not listening. I told her before Christmas, but I don't think that's going to happen.
So look forward to that.
I think we might have one more show this year.
Yeah.
It might be next week because the week after isn't the week after Christmas?
Christmas is on Monday.
Not this coming Monday.
No. But send in your holiday greetings for the Monsterverse.
Holiday greetings. Send them to Mike R. at middleagesrecovery.com or call the hotline at 516 888 6172
6297.
Oh, 6297.
Right. 516-888-6297. Leave us a message. It's an automated. No one's going to pick up the phone and yell at you. And then we'll play it and send out some good vibes. We're looking for holiday spirit messages.
Well, listen, if you're also in a shitty place, we'll take that too.
Yeah, give us some shitty message.
You don't have to be, don't force yourself to be positive because everyone around you is. That's bullshit.
Yeah, that is bullshit. So give us some.
I've still maintained my negativity today, despite the fact that Nat's in a good mood, and I've tried to drag him down to my level.
Yes, so thank you for that.
No problem.
But that about does it for today. I know I had a good time. Did you?
Yes, it went fast today.
Yep, it's a quick one. Thank you so much for listening. Visit us at middleagesrecovery.com. Just go there anyway. Just for fun. Just to watch the mess. It's like a car wreck. Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, and Twitter. So tweet us at TwatYouTwit on X. Support your favorite show.
Do it when you're on X.
Do it. Drop a 5-star review, and we will read it. So go to Apple Podcasts, guys, please.
On the air, we will read it.
We will read it. You will be a star for all 5 stars that you give us.
Send me more hate mail. It's entertaining.
Mike R. at middleagesrecovery.com. Tell us how much you hate us and how 2000s we are.
And how white.
We love meeting new Monksters, so come on to the Facebook group. It's on Facebook, Recovery in the Middle
And
Ages.
it's a group.
You join it. We say hello. There's also patreon.com/Recovery in the Middle Ages. You get the Discord. You get the merch. You get everything.
I think I'm the interrupter.
Yeah. You might be.
Because I'm interrupting you incessantly.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting
Moo.
cow. Who?
Moo. See, I interrupted you with the moo.
What?
And finally, the best way to help the show
Why
is
you
to
save
share
the
it with
good
a
jokes
friend.
for the end?
Share the show with a friend and help spread the love
Grow the RMA movement.
And as we say, non proficiat perfectum.
Progress, not perfection.
We
Story
will
of my fucking life.
See you next time, cheese bags.
Stay fresh,
Oh,
cheese
stay
bags.
fresh, cheese bags.
Yes.
And be good.
Be good. Bye.
Bye.
Fucking dog.